Welcome everyone into the studios today. Raymond, Joyce, everyone knows Raymond all over. You do so much for our community, Raymond. First of all, thank you for what you do. You help not only homeowners, but farmers, landowners alike, business people, whatever the need may be, Raymond, you're always ready. And go Dogs, right?
Thank you, go Dogs. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you, and we appreciate TV 35 for your support of the extension program in here in Lawrence County. We appreciate that very much.
Such a vital part of our community, from testing your soil to knowing when to trim your shrubs or trees, to how to take care of a pond, to farming, issues. And right when you think you got everything figured out in farming, you better watch out, hadn't you?
That's right. Every day is different and every year is different.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen in farming, and same way in your yard and garden, you never know what's going to happen there either sometimes.
Yeah. But with farmers, they never look back, they got to look ahead, don't
That's
they?
right.
And man, that recent storm we had come through, Michael came through, and all in all, we were pretty fortunate, as we've said many times, in conversations all around. We were pretty fortunate here in Lawrence County.
Right.
But some people lost a lot now. We lost pecan trees, we lost cotton crop. If corn laid down, then some of it stood back up, and we were all right with that, right? And peanuts.
Well, we, here in Lawrence County, we were, as you said, we were blessed with what, we did have some of our commercial pecan orchards did lose trees. And they lost trees last year with Hurricane Irma, who came through, or Tropical Storm Irma last year. But some of them lost trees again this year with Michael. But we were fortunate. Most of our, if you mentioned corn, most of our corn was out. Most everybody had harvested, but we were still harvesting cotton and peanuts and soybeans. And the cotton, as far as row crops, the cotton probably faced the most damage as compared to that. And then we also had landowners who had timber who lost some trees, pines and hardwoods, particularly hardwoods in creek bottoms, river bottoms, like that, wet areas where you have the trees. But we did suffer that here.
Yeah, and I heard it more than once immediately after the storm. Thank goodness it had been dry for a while.
Right.
Because if we'd have had all the rain we had earlier in the year, it would have affected a lot more trees.
Right, we'd had more. And again, it also gave, we were farmers here in Lawrence County as well as in Georgia, because we didn't have as much rain as was forecasted. We were able to get back in the fields and start harvesting pretty shortly after that. And many, at the time the storm hit here, we were in peanut season, picking peanuts, or digging and picking peanuts. Cotton, we were picking cotton. A lot of the cotton, when I say a lot, a good portion of it was defoliated, but we still had a lot of cotton that was still growing, and the bolls had not opened up yet. And then the soybeans were beginning to dry down, as well, dropping leaves from there. But we were extremely blessed here as compared to our neighbors and friends south and west of us in Georgia here.
Yeah, now you county extension agents through the university system, contact and stay in touch with each other. You're letting each other know what's going on in South Georgia and North Georgia, East and West.
Right.
Tell us about the roughest areas and what kind of crop loss and how that's going to affect us.
Okay. All right. Well, we are between Extension and Georgia Department of Agriculture and Farm Service Agency and all, we're looking probably close to somewhere around $3 billion as far as the agriculture economy has been affected. And again, those are early estimates. We'll know once we get through the season with it. But down in southwest Georgia, Decatur, Seminole, any of those counties that were kind of below Albany, kind of west of I-75, even west of Moultrie, down in that area where it came through across from the Panhandle, it was still a hurricane at that point coming through. Those areas suffered the greatest loss. I mean, there were poultry houses were destroyed, which, not only the structure, but also, killed the poultry, the birds that were in the buildings. We had, again, trees down, particularly pines as well as hardwoods, and then the pecan orchard. Many of the mature pecan orchards were totally lost. They're going to have to be replanted. A lot of the pecans, just like here, were blown off on the ground at different stages of development.
Yeah.
Vegetables faced a lot of, many times people don't realize how many acres of vegetables are grown in Georgia, but most of our vegetables are grown in that Tifton, Albany, in southwestern part of the state. And you were mentioning corn, particularly sweet corn. I heard a grower at the Sunbelt Expo saying, that his sweet corn crop, his late sweet corn crop, was basically just laid down. Vegetables suffered, again, there's rules and regulations about harvesting vegetables after they've been, flooded or anything like that. So a lot of the vegetables were lost. Then we also had the cotton crop. Most of the cotton, with the winds that were blowing, blew the cotton out of the burr and onto the ground, and there's no economical way to get that cotton off the ground. And even if we could get it off the ground, it's going to be very trashy from the standpoint of the leaves and dirt and stuff like that, and it would really affect the grade of the cotton as well. And then peanuts, a lot of peanut buying points where we store the peanuts or farmers take them in were damaged, as well as those peanuts that were ready to be harvested got blown out of line. So they have to, it's hard to pick once they get out of line, so they have to go back in and move those peanuts back around to get them up. But the cotton, the pecans, the timber, the problem with the timber is that our mills can't handle all of that material, all of that saw timber.
How about that? And not equipped. You know how much you can handle at the processing places that we have, the mills that we have. I hadn't thought about that. It's just such an influx of material. You can't handle it. So what happens? They stack it up and rots?
No, they try to get as much as they can. But again, you have to consider from the pine industry, for example, with that is that many people have those, it's a long-term investment. Some of those trees may be 20, 25, 30 years old, which we're going to go for saw timber, which is basically your 2x6s, 2x4s, all of those. But when the storm twists that wood or it breaks that tree or the log, it has to go for pulpwood because they can't cut a straight board out of it because it's twisted. And so a lot of that was set to go to saw timber will wind up having to go to either chip or either to pulpwood for that. So, there's a big drain, and a lot of people are counting on that as retirement, as putting their kids through college, those type things like that.
Yeah, so you're talking about clothing from cotton, you're talking about food, you're talking about lumber.
Right. All of that is affected, by that. And then again, the other side of it is that if you have all the livestock facilities, for the most part, particularly those which are poultry houses and those which are dairies, they have backup power. But now many of those have been running on backup power since the storm and are continuing to run on backup power because they don't have the infrastructure. So you're looking at those poultry houses destroyed. Well, not only does that affect the income of the farmer, but it also affects how many chickens are going to be processed through a plant, and so that affects, it's a ripple effect through the economy of that area, plus it's a ripple effect of the economy of the state of Georgia. And with that, it does, from the farmer's standpoint, who have put out all of that money. And we were looking from the cotton side of things, we were probably looking at, according to talking to some of the Jenners, we were probably looking at some of a record yield this year in cotton. But again, we've lost that, and so that will affect the farmer's income, which will thus affect the banks or the loan, that they have got money from to operate on for the year. So, and also a lot of those farmers with all their crops have them already contracted, say with Roaches like here or Dexter Supply. They already have that cotton contracted, and then they're not going to be able to fill that contract in many cases, so they're going to have to either pay that money out to the gin, or either they're going to have to find cotton to fill those contracts. So there's a lot of things that a lot of people are not aware of that farmers are facing that way.
And you hear all types of things, as far as over the years, as far as people moving away from the farm, but the volume is still there. It's just the workers maybe not there because everything's so industrialized. Everything, your tractors, are so much larger. Combiners, everything is done on such a larger scale. Farmers are larger. You don't have as many small farmers.
Right. We have, over the years, it's consolidated. Many people who have retired out of farming.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, many have passed away. So a lot of that land is being rented out to individuals across the. And again, farmers have increased the amount of rented land that they're going through, and so it does. You've got a lot of money involved out there before you actually get it to the gin or to the buying point. That way. So it's with timber, it's an initial investment, and then you've got that long term. But you're looking at that long term investment, whereas a farmer who's growing a cotton crop or peanut crop, it's a short-term investment, but it's a higher risk because you have a window of dealing with the weather.
Yeah.
Farmers are dealing now with low commodity prices across the country. We are a world market, so something that happens across the oceans can affect the price here, or something that can happen here can affect the world prices. So they are dealing with low commodity prices, but their input costs have continued to go up, but what they're receiving for their product, is not always it's not always high as it could be or should be.
Yeah, and just as a question, you talk about, we knew right away that, that the chicken houses, were just done away, and chickens, gone. How long would it take them to reconstruct some of that, or how long did it take them? I'm assuming
many of them probably haven't even started back yet, or they may have. But you also have to consider it kind of backs up the line because you've got, eggs being produced, fertilized eggs being produced to produce the chicks who are grown out, and then they're ready to go either to laying or either go to meat production. So you've kind of got a backup, and so they're having to figure out what they're going to do with all of that's in the chain. Excuse me. What's in the chain already, they've got to figure out what to do with all of that. So it kind of backs everything up, just like with the cotton, for example. Many of the ginners in that particular area are going to gin. Many of them have quoted in news articles and all that they're only going to gin a third. Well, they've got expenses too that they've got to pay. And even with many people say, well, farmers have insurance on their crop. They do, but again, it's not enough to cover the entire cost of production. It's never.
There's no profit.
There's no profit, right. I mean, you cannot farm, off of insurance, that way. So it's one of those things that farmers, and again, those premiums are costly as well. So they're hoping with it. But you also have to look at other infrastructure, just like in Georgia here. We were fortunate that I'm not aware of any center pivots that were damaged. But in the wind area down there, in the damaged area from the hurricane, a lot of pivots were destroyed. So, I mean, that's got to be an investment that they've got to put back. You had farm buildings that were damaged or destroyed that way. Then you also, all of that is in there. And then just like with the gins or the peanut buying points or warehouses, there were warehouse damages. All of that infrastructure has to be fixed and, figured out what we're going to do with it. But we were blessed here. I mean, we did see, like I said, we were seeing cotton damage. We're seeing pecan tree damage, with it. And we didn't suffer a lot of structural damage as far as farm, mainly just tin ripped up or either, maybe something blown over that way. But,
you mentioned out, 117?
Yeah.
Damage out that way, really.
Right. If Cadwell, unfortunately, with Dr. Rowe's family, the Rose pecans down there, and a neighbor around the corner there on 338, a number of those trees were down again. They suffered last year. They had a lot of trees down, and then now they've got the expense of going in and cleaning up, but they can't really clean up because all the pecans are on the ground, so they've got to harvest those before they can clean up.
Right.
And that's what a lot of pecan orchards are doing. But it takes about 7 to 8 years for a pecan tree to come in production, in small production.
Right.
And then, 15, 20 years. So that, and for that 7 to 8 years, you're putting out money every year to fertilize, to water, keep the weeds down. So you're putting all that money out, you don't see any income coming back in for about 7-8 years. So it is a long-term investment.
It sure is, and that's quite a loss. So I guess we keep them in our thoughts and prayers, and people all over the state of Georgia. People don't realize what a huge crop nuts are for us.
Right, and the market here, a lot of our pecans were going overseas to China, and then also the markets here with it coming, a lot of the pecans that you see in the marketplace right now are last year's pecans, but we are having, new pecans, new crop coming in. So it is, and again, a lot of those nuts fail and they're still in the husk, the green husk, and they're going to have to, take and mechanically open those up. But again, we're looking, statewide about $3 billion in losses, and it's a big hit for the farming community. And agriculture is Georgia's #1 industry. It's Lawrence County, and pretty much it's the largest industry in every county in Georgia, with except, consider the metropolitan areas, it's not as great. But everybody has to eat, everybody has to have clothes, everybody has to have houses that are constructed out of wood and things like that. So it does affect everybody down the road.
Yeah. Raymond, Joyce here with us in the studio. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back, so you stay tuned.
We're here today at Bank of Dudley to discuss business loans. So many businesses and industries trust the Bank of Dudley for a variety of financing alternatives to suit your specific needs, from short-term loans to help with cash flow, loans to purchase equipment or facilities. At Bank of Dudley, we have commercial mortgage loans, capital improvement loans for construction or renovation. We can help with your business vehicle loans or for a small business line of credit. In other words, Bank of Dudley has your business covered. No matter what it is, you can trust the lenders at the Bank of Dudley with 5 convenient locations: East Dublin, downtown Dublin, Veterans Boulevard, Dudley, and Jeffersonville. The Bank of Dudley, member FDIC, and an equal housing lender.
Mid-State Pools and Spas knows pools, in-ground pools to above-ground pools. Mid-State Pools and Spas has over 35 years in the industry, building over 3,000 pools. We build all of our own pools, never subcontracting the work out. So if you're ready to build a pool, renovate a pool, or if you need weekly maintenance or liner replacement with a full 20-year warranty, call the professionals at Mid-State Pools and Spas. Visit our showroom today at 2273 Veterans Boulevard in Dublin and see the new line of Marquee Spas. For the ultimate in hot tub experiences, choose Marquee Spas. Also see our new selection of casual patio furniture, available now at our showroom, Mid-State Pools and Spas, where we know pools.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We're into November. Time flies, doesn't it, Raymond?
It does.
You turn around and it's almost Thanksgiving, and this is a time of year where you all always partner with Georgia Farm Bureau,
Right.
and appreciate the farmers. Usually get together at the lunchroom area of First Baptist Church.
That's right.
Is that where we're going to get together
That's where
this
we'll be
year?
again
Always.
this year.
Nobody will get lost that way.
That's right.
Keep it going in the same direction. And who's the speaker this year?
The speaker is Mr. Gerald Long, who is the president of Georgia Farm Bureau. He will be here to speak to the attendees this year.
Yeah.
It is, we do work closely with the Lawrence County Farm Bureau here. They're the ones, the Lawrence County Farm Bureau Board and their board, as well as the Women's Committee of the Lawrence County Farm Bureau. They put that on, and we partner with them to help out, to highlight agriculture here in Lawrence County as well as in Georgia. And then also to recognize those who are in farming here. It's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving at lunch from 12 to 1. And it is a good time for us to recognize what agriculture means to Lawrence County, and to thank the farmers, to thank the agribusiness people, like, you've got a lot of agribusiness people like Dexter Supply, Roach Farm and Garden, Farmer's Best up in Dudley, a lot of those agribusiness and the chemical dealers like Helena, all of those, are support. And then you have the gins, the buying points, peanuts, all of that. So it's a good time to highlight agriculture, what it means to Lawrence County, and to recognize the farmers.
Yeah, and as we approach this, just roundabout, about how many people farm or are associated or directly with farming in Lawrence County?
That is always a question
Big number,
I get.
and you wonder.
Well, you do. You have full-time farmers
Yep.
that they generate all of their income from farming. They may have a spouse who works off farm for that.
Sure.
With it, and then you have part-time farmers who work a full-time job and farm in the evenings or the weekends that way for that. So it's kind of hard to get an exact number with it, because also you have individuals who have timberland that we consider to be farmers with it, and so we have a lot of cattlemen that we consider to be farmers. USDA, United States Department of Agriculture,
Yeah.
they recognize basically 10 acres or more, they consider to be a farmer. There's a lot of different, this group says, or agency says this is what a farmer is, this agency says this, but there's a lot of individuals. And then we have a lot of people who, if you consider it the market on Saturday mornings, those individuals who raise those crops or grow those crops, we consider them to be in the agricultural area. So I mean, it's a hard number to nail down each year. But overall, the trend is not only in Lawrence County, but in the nation as well, is that we're seeing a reduction in the number of people involved in agriculture. And then we're also seeing the aging population. The population is aging of the farmers, so we're not seeing a lot of young people come into it, because it's. I remember recently, well, several weeks ago or months ago, it's been a while since I read an article about how much money it would take if you just started out from scratch to become a farmer, and it's a tremendous amount of money, but many times it's a young person will get into farming working with another farmer, or either their family's in farming, so it's kind of passed down that way. But But it is a good time to recognize, and we encourage young people to get involved, and it's something that you have to have a passion for, and you have to really want to get out there and work hard.
Yes, you do. It's a love, it's a passion. If you're a farmer.
Right.
Man, what a farmer does
Right.
for us. But like you say, we should appreciate him so much, and that's what this event's all about.
Right.
What's the date?
The date, goodness, I don't have my
Is it
phone
last
with me.
Thursday,
No,
or-
it's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
It's
Mark
the
it
week,
down.
right. The Thanksgiving is on the Thursday, and then
Yeah.
on that Tuesday at lunch from 12 to 1. And like you said, we'll be at the First Baptist Church in the Old Fellowship Hall there, and I'll be recognized. And like I said, Mr. Gerald Long will be there to give us an update on agriculture and what Georgia Farm Bureau does for agriculture. Georgia Farm Bureau is a voice for agriculture in the state and in the nation, and they go to bat for the agriculture community here in Georgia.
Yeah. What's the most satisfying part of you working with University of Georgia Extension Agent? What's been over the years?
Well, just working with individuals, seeing an individual, whether it be a farmer, whether it be a homeowner, whether it be a young person, to see them learn and to gain knowledge, and again to see, particularly from the farmer side of things, is to see a farmer may have battled something the previous year, and then to see him turn around the next year. But to see the farmer produce a crop, to see that smile on their face, to see that they succeeded in what they set out to do, the goals that way. But teaching, the one-on-one, whether it be one-on-one in the field or whether it be in a classroom situation where we're training farmers or giving them an update on agriculture, the teaching aspect of it. And again, enjoying doing the media, the TV and newspaper and things like that, but mainly just helping people. It's a mission. It's if you think of, there are many Christians who go out in the mission field, to work overseas and all, but it's an extension, cooperative extension across the country is a mission field. You have to, have to have that zeal to go out and help people and hopefully see them improve and get better at what they're doing.
Man, how wonderful is that?
Yeah,
Raymond? You're all right.
And you have to have, well, I appreciate that. You have to have a heart, to help somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
Hey, we're going to take a short break. Fall is here. It's in the air. Everybody wants to get out, maybe get a little dirt under their fingernails here and there. We're going to tell you about a few things you can do around the home when we come back. So stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Locke Wilford, and Dublin Chevrolet is proud to sponsor high school football.
Go Crusaders! Go Raiders! Go Falcons! Go Irish! Go Chevy!
Call, click, or come by Dublin Chevrolet.
At Meadows, we believe cancer is a time to come together. So from diagnosis, we pair patients with a nurse navigator to provide support and be a guide throughout the entire treatment process. We unite the area's top oncologists, surgeons, and support specialists on one team to chart a course of treatment for each individual case. We combined chemotherapy and some of the newest radiation technology, including the area's only CT simulator for precisely targeted treatment in one facility. And we welcome loved ones to remain side by side in comfortable, light-filled treatment rooms and family areas. Here, we believe in joining forces to fight cancer. So we've united advanced treatment and support services in one comforting healing center that is close to the greatest comfort of all, home. One campus, one devoted team, one holistic approach. Meadows Health, the Tommy and Shirley Strickland Cancer Center in Vidalia.
All right, welcome back. Here with Raymond, Joyce, County Extension Agent. And hey, have you been to any football games this year? You just watch them on TV
I just watch them on TV. You know, it's kind of
dogs are doing well.
Dogs are doing well.
Except for that LSU
you know.
game, I'm gonna lose my voice on that one. So we
Well,
better move
right.
on. Hey, so fall is here, and we want to think about what? Trimming back trees, maybe planting some winter rye. What are some things we can do around the house?
Well, around the yard and garden, some of the things to do is one is as these leaves fall, you know, keep them off your grass. Keep your grass, you know, as the
Why?
leaves. Well, if you leave them on there, it can smother. It can, you know, basically cause that grass to stay green for one thing, but also it can, if we have a lot of rain, it can cause that grass to die, you know, from there. So keeping, you know, it's always interesting when you don't keep the straw or the leaves off of it and you go out there and clean it up after a frost, you got all that green, you know, there. And so again, it can damage those areas. But, you know, just keep the yard looking good that way. It's time to put down fresh mulch. Particularly, I like to do when the leaves all fall, then go out there and put mulch down, cover up all those leaves that you didn't want to rake up in the shrub beds. It's a great time to plant trees and shrubs this time of year. A lot of times the nurseries, garden centers won't have a good selection because everybody wants spring fever. So, but ideal time is to plant in the fall and, you know, do it that way because the root system will continue to grow through the wintertime because we never get that hard. It's a great time to put in winter annuals like pansies and snapdragons, a good time like that. It's also a good time to take in what you're going to carry over, all those house plants and things that you're going to do with it. You mentioned planting rye. If you've got a garden spot, you know, if you're not going to put anything in it for the winter, plant some rye out there, spread some rye out there and make a good cover, you know, for it, and then you can incorporate that in as organic matter in the spring. Does a good job. As far as weed control in your yard, this is the best time to put out a pre-emerge herbicide, not a weed and feed, not a weed and feed. This is the wrong time to do a weed and feed. But just, I have to say that several times. Don't use a weed and feed this time of year. But this is a good time to put out a pre-emergent herbicide to prevent those winter weeds. Particularly, I get calls in the spring about those sticker weeds, those lawn burr weeds that you step in the spring. Lawn burr weed, sticker weed is called. But now's the time to put out a herbicide, a weed killer, whether it be granular, liquid.
Give us a couple of examples.
Well, you've got, for example, you can use atrazine on centipede and zoysia, and you have to wait till the Bermuda grass goes dormant. But if you want to go ahead and put out one right now, look at something that has pendimethalin. Pendimethalin is a chemical name for a herbicide, but it comes in a lot of different brand names like Scott's and other products like that you can put out that will help to prevent the weeds from coming through. And you do that now, and then maybe again sometime in February you may have to come back and do another treatment on it. But this is the time to prevent all those problems that I get calls about in March and April, and by that time it's
so
too
you
late.
can kill a lot of weeds back now.
Yeah, you can basically, once the soil temperature cools, a lot of the winter weeds will start germinating. And they'll sit there and you really can't see them, and then all of a sudden come March, boom. And that time it's really too late to do anything as far as pre-doing it. But by putting out a pre-emerge, what it does is it puts a layer in the soil, and when that seed germinates,
Great.
it hits that layer and it kills it.
Great.
So it prevents it from coming through
Yeah.
with it. But now's a good time to do that,
Yeah.
really, with it. And then
How about pruning?
pruning, you could do some touch-up pruning. Don't do any heavy pruning yet. Don't do anything pruning-wise as far as like on your fruit trees and all. Wait until January, February to do that. Light pruning, like last month in, was it October or late September? It may have been early October, I think I did.
Yeah.
I did do some pruning in my yard just to cut back a little stuff. But you have to be careful. If you prune too hard and we stay warm, the plant will start growing again, and then if we get a hard freeze, it will kill what comes out. So again, just touch up, like if you've got something sticking up above the plant, cut it off.
Shrubs and things.
Shrubs and things like
It's
that.
okay to do that.
Yeah,
now.
shrubs just lightly. And you talked about the trees, and let's talk about, if I may, just to mention about the tree damage. A lot of times we don't look up into the trees that stayed up, and there may be broken limbs.
Yeah.
And we call them hangers, widow makers, things like that, that eventually they probably are going to fall, as they rot. That gravity thing comes into play. So make sure that you look at all your trees, particularly after the leaves fall, and see if you have any broken limbs or limbs that are hanging up there. And if you do, best thing to do is to call a professional to come out there and get those limbs down, because you don't want to park your car under it and you come out the next morning and there's a tree limb that just fell for no reason.
Yeah, and it'll happen.
Right. And you can call an arborist if you've got trees that are damaged from the storm, or if you've got trees that you want to get removed. Call an arborist, and they can come out and look at it there.
And so this would be pretty much a good time to transplant as well?
Well, yeah, as we get into late November, into December, January, that's a good time to move plants. Right.
Like ground covers as well?
Right. You can transplant.
What's the procedure on that?
Well, if you're like digging daylilies up, or let's say if you're moving a shrub, I get calls from time to time. Let's say if you're moving a holly shrub, that way. Best thing to do is to get as much of the root system as you can. Dig up as much as you can that you can lift and move.
Yeah.
And then when you move it to the new, dig a big hole 2 times as wide as the hole, as the root ball, and then set it at the same level that it's growing or had been growing where it was originally.
That's very important.
Right. And then
level.
just keep it watered and keep it mulched.
Even this time of year, you got to water it.
You got to water, because we may go 2 or 3 weeks without water with the winter time. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But great time to plant, great time to do things because it's cooler temperatures. In the vegetable garden, there are things that you can continue to plant. We're getting ready to plant what we would call Vidalia onions. We can't call them Vidalias in some areas of the state, but there'll be onions available, and many people continue to plant lettuce and cabbage and things like that. So there's a lot of things you can still do in the vegetable garden.
Yeah, keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. It's always good to get out and get a little dirt on your fingernails.
And if people have questions, they can call us. We have information available there, or online. You can go to just type in the University of Georgia Extension or UGA Extension on your web browser, and it'll pull up our website, and you can look at a lot of the different publications online.
Yeah, wealth of information.
Right.
Just a total wealth. They can always pick up the phone.
They can always pick up the call and call us.
What's coming up with, if you know, with the canning and different types of things that are going on the other side, so to speak?
Well, as far as on food, food preservation, things like that, a lot of times this year we don't really have a lot of vegetables being, preserved or anything, but we do have a lot of people who will be making deer jerky. Deer season's open now, so you'll have a lot at people who will be freezing and
any kind of seminars, anything y'all doing to educate people on that?
Check with Susan Moore at the office and see.
You got a great office team, don't you?
We do. We are blessed with a great team, and come by the office there. We're right behind Farm Bureau on Telfair Street, or either give us a call, 272-2277. And our email, we have emails. You can send us an email and we'll respond to you as well.
Yeah, tried and true. That's what I say about the Georgia Extension Office.
We
Always here to help.
Right, and we're in, across the county, across the state. We're there in all the counties pretty much to help you, and it is a nationwide system. That if we don't have a publication on something or a resource, we can go to our partners down in Florida or Clemson or Auburn, excuse me.
You can't say all those words.
I can't say all those words, I know.
We're
but
going to have to go on that one, man.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Raymond, Joyce, everyone in here to share with us today. Thank you for
You're welcome.
all
Thank
you
y'all.
do, man. You just really, you're head and shoulders above of what other people can provide here in our community. And ladies and gentlemen, you should take advantage of it. You go on the website, you make the phone call. It's a wealth of knowledge for you. So let's take advantage of all the knowledge that's been gained through the years. And don't forget now, this is farm appreciation. This is when we appreciate farmers.
That's right.
If you see a farmer out on the road, give them the right of way if they're on a tractor or got a
That's
combine,
right.
anything, and help them out there. Stay away, from the equipment like that, and always wave at them, be friendly, and pat them on the back and encourage them if you see them out in the community, because
That's right.
farming is a
right.
tough life, and you got to have a passion for it.
That's exactly right.
God
if
bless
you're
farmers.
you're eating, or you got clothes, or you got a house, living in a building, thank a farmer.
Thank a farmer.
That's right.
Yeah. But thank you too, Raymond.
You're welcome.
Really.
Appreciate TV
And thank you
35.
for joining us right here on TV 35.